In this section, we will discuss Python functions. Okay. Python functions are very important in Python programming. This function is a block of instructions or code which only runs when it is called. Okay. And we can recall the function at any number of time in a program. So the number of lines in the program will be reduced. And also because of that we can have a lot of errors that can be rectified in the program. Also the debugging process, if once some error is there, then we can easily debug those errors if you are using Python. So these are basically some block of instructions. Okay. Function is a block of instructions or code also I can consider. So that runs only when it is called. So these are some instructions or codes or code that will be running or that will be executed when that particular function is called. Okay. Similarly, a function can be function uh, be called any number of times. And because of this, the number of lines in the program can be reduced by using functions. So basically, this will result in less number of this result, or this will avoid, you can say, lot of mistake of errors in program. Also, debugging will be easier. So these are the importance of Python functions. So for example, if I am having some function, let's say this is not the actual way, I'm just saying that function sum x plus y. Okay. So if your function is like this, so once you have defined this function f equal to x plus y, wherever you want to have, if you want to add two numbers in your instruction, in your program, you will be using the same addition in several times. So in each of this time, you don't have to repeat this x plus y, x plus y, x plus y in your program. So this is not required. Once you define this function, you can just recall that function in these lines. Just recall that function here, recall f. This is not the actual syntax, I'm just explaining this how it is working. So once you define this function f, then that can be recalled here. So when you are recalling that function, the corresponding values will be added, x plus y, whatever values that you are executing, that will be added at that particular time. Okay, so what is the advantage of this? So this function can be recalled at any number of time. Once you define that function, you can recall that any time. So in this, for example, in this case, we are using x plus y in these three statements, three lines. So in each of these lines, if you are writing x plus y, x plus y, x plus y like this, and suppose in some instruction you accidentally missed this plus or something, so in that case it will show error, right? For example, instead of x plus y, if you are writing something like xy in somewhere in between, then that will make the that particular line will become some error. I'm not talking about uh, case that we are dealing now, but in some cases we will be having a very large number of instructions. Okay, so this I am talking only one x plus y, that is the simplest one. Okay, but if you are having some set of instruction that has to be executed, and if you are writing that in the program, then the chance for having some mistake while typing those lines or instructions, that is possible. So that kind of errors can be rectified if you are recalling that function. Okay? Suppose if you are having some function that will give you something like f, f equal to, I'm defining f is, okay, I will explain that later. You will understand because I have to go for the programming section. Okay. So here, if you are considering this x plus y, so if you are repeatedly writing that expression in your program, after if you want to repeatedly write that particular instruction many times in your program, then the possibility of some typing errors are possible. Okay. But if you are recalling this function, once you have written this perfectly, that is correct, then if you are recalling that, then that kind of errors can be reduced. Also, if you are having some error in your expression, for example, this x plus y, okay, instead of this x plus y, you have written something like, for example, x, let's x minus y, for example. I'm just showing an example. So if you are writing like this instead of this function, then you can easily find out where the mistake is. So you can replace this minus with a plus. Okay, then automatically all these instructions, all these lines, the same operation, that replacement will be happen. That will be happening there on those instruction also. So which means that the same replacement of this subtraction with this addition symbol, okay, minus with plus, will be performed, or uh, that will also change in this instructions if you are recalling the function. But if you are not recalling, if you are writing that particular statement repeatedly, then there is possibility of getting error. As I discussed earlier, if you are typing it repeatedly, then the possibility is much higher. And if you want to get that particular error to be rectified, and then you have to check that line by line, which line is going to be that error is happened, and then you have to check each of these instructions. So that is little difficult. So debugging will be easy if you are recalling that function instead of writing instructions separately. If you are writing that particular instruction once and recalling that function at whatever lines you need that particular instruction, then that will be much more easier and much more uh, error free. Okay, so also debugging will be easy because you just have to find out what is the expression corresponding to this function, and once you replace that error in here in this function, then automatically all the errors in these lines will be uh, replaced. And also if you are considering this line by line instructions, you have to rewrite this. For example, if you are having some 3-4 lines in a function, if you are defining some function like is this, if you are considering, okay, So these 6 lines or 5 lines that you have to repeatedly write in your program if you are not using that function. So here I am saying only a simple example x plus y, but in some cases you will be doing some particular instructions, number of lines repeated in the program. So that particular operation you can assign to as a function, okay, and then you can just recall that function here. You recall f. So in a single instruction you can perform all those operations. You don't have to write these instructions 6, 5, or 7 instruction lines separately whenever you need that particular operation. You just define that operation as a function, okay, and then recall that function. So you don't have to write these lines. So it will reduce the number of lines also in the program. So you just have to recall that function anytime in the program. Then the same operation will be performed. Okay, I will give an example, and you will be able to understand that. It's not clearly. So in the case of these functions, we have to follow some particular conditions in order to define a function. So in Python, if you want to define a function, you have to do you have to follow some steps. So first step is that every function should start with keyword diff. Okay, so every function should start with. So this is for definition of a function. Okay, defining function. So for defining function, we have to follow these steps. Every function should start with keyword diff. That is the first one. And the function should have a name. Okay? Every function should have a name. And this name should not be a keyword. Not equal to keyword. So as we discussed it for variable, here also we cannot use keyword as a name, okay, for these functions also. And then we have the third step, or the third condition, that is the parameters or arguments are optional and has to be included in parentheses. Parameters or arguments, these are optional. Are optional. So if you are including that, these parameters or arguments in function, then this has to be included in. If you are including any argument, then that has to be included in parentheses, in bracket. You have to include those arguments or variables. And the fourth one, every function with or without argument should end with a colon. Every function, or I will just write it as every function should end with colon. And the last, which how much? Okay, fifth one. Fifth one is return is used to return value to the defined function. Return is used to return value to the defined function. And the last one is multi values can be multi values can be returned. I will explain this one by one by using tuple. So you can use a tuple if you want to return multiple values. So first one, in order to define a function, first one is we need to start with the keyword diff, right? So the syntax for the function, and write it here, syntax for the function is like, first you have to use the keyword. Every function should start with the diff keyword. So this is used to define the function. This keyword is used to define function. So this keyword we cannot use to name any function. So the name of the function should be different from any keyword. So every function should start with the diff, keyword diff. And then we need a name for the function. So I will write name. Let's consider, anyway, I will put function itself. So my name for this function is function itself, okay? So function. Then I can use these parameters or arguments that is optional. So if I'm using any arguments, then for example x comma y something like that, then I have to use these brackets, this parentheses. So parentheses, if you are using arguments, then that must be kept in parentheses. And this function should end with the colon. Okay. So this is how we define the function, and then also we need some operation in the function. For example, in this function we are having operation. Let's say sum equal to x plus y. That is the operation of this particular function, and then I have to return. I have to use return to return that particular operation. Uh, so value. So after this operation, we'll be getting some value that has to be returned back into the defined function. So I will be using return here. Using return. So return what I have to return sum. Okay. I don't need this. Okay, great. So return sum. So this statement will return the value sum to the function, the defined function of x comma y. So this is the operation performed by the function. This is function operation. So this is how we will define the function. Defining function. And this will give the value, or return will give value, or we can say returns value to the defined function. So this will be giving this value of a sum to this function of x comma y. Okay. So this is how we'll use this function or define this function, and then we have this index. So this return will be returning the value after that operation to this function. In this case, I am considering function as function of x comma y. Okay, so this is the syntax for any function in Python. So these three lines, which are the syntax for a function. So we need this structure to define any function. This operation may be different. This operation can be in multiple lines, but the basic structure will be like defining of this function, then operation section, then we have to return that value. Okay. Now, if you further consider the different arguments in functions, different arguments in function. So first we will consider the required argument. Required argument. So I will not be writing all those statements here. I will explain these things. Okay. So first one is required arguments. Here the number of arguments in function definition and function call that should be same along with same position. Okay. So if I am saying here, for example, I am defining some function defining values. So my function name is values now a comma b. This is my function values a comma b, and the operation associated with this particular function is print a comma b. That is the operation associated with this particular values. Okay, and you can also give this return here. So in this case, we don't require that because we are considering the arguments here. So in order to explain the arguments, we are not considering that part here. But when you are defining the function, when you are using the function, then you have to use the return statement, because since we are directly printing these values here. That's why we are not going to return that values, because we are not interested in that. You can also use that, no problem. You can assign that particular value to this function. That is not, but in this case it is not required. That's why I'm not including that part here, because we are going to check this by using the program, and we are explaining these arguments, which are the different arguments that we can use in this function. Okay, so in this case, for example, if I'm defining like this, then if I use some values of, let's say, 5 comma 10, then this will give me the output as 5 10. So this 5 and 10 will be printed, right? And if you consider again some other example, let's say values, if I'm considering same function, so I'm considering same function that is defined here. So 5, instead of this 5 10, I'm considering 10 and 5, then that will be printed as 10 and 5, because I'm printing a comma b, and I am giving value of a as 5 in the first case and b as 10 in the second, in the first case. First we are considering this particular instruction, so I am giving values 5 and 10. So this 5 is assigned to a and 10 is assigned to b, so we will be getting 5 10 as print. And but in the second case, I am considering 10 comma 5, so 10 will be assigned to a and 5 will be assigned as b, and I will be getting output as 10 and 5. So in this case, the number of variables or number of arguments in the function definition and function call, that should be same. So where we are calling, this is the function call. I am calling this particular function values here, okay, because I am using that function. That is what we are representing by using the call. That is the meaning of call. Calling means we are using that particular function somewhere in that program. So where we are using now, we are just, in order to explain this particular arguments, I am using it right after this function. But in program, we will be calling that function after 10 lines or 15 lines or any number of lines depending on the program. Okay, so I will be calling in after some lines of instructions. Okay, so here this is the calling. This is the calling process. In this case, I am calling this function values with variable 5 and 10, with values 5 and 10. So this 5 and 10 will be given to these variables a and b. when I'm calling that particular function. And the operation will be printing of that particular value. So print a comma b will be the operation. So I will be getting 5 and 10. So in this case, when you are calling this function, the arguments in this call, okay, as well as the arguments, number of arguments in this, I will use some. So number of arguments in this function definition and number of arguments in this call should be same. Otherwise, you will be getting an error. Also, the order of this arguments should be same. If you want to assign value of 5 to variable a or argument a and 10 to b, then you have to write 5 first and 10 next. You cannot write it like this. If you are writing 10 comma 5, then the value 10 will be assigned to a instead of 5. Okay, so the order is important. So the order should be same and the number of arguments should be same in the case of required arguments. And the second one is second type of argument that we can use in function, which is called as keyword. This is keyword argument. So in keyword argument, let us consider the same example. So defining function, defining let's say values of a comma b colon. And then I'm printing. Operation is print a comma b. So here I'm calling somewhere in the program. I'm calling values. Values is the name of my function. That's why I'm writing like this. Values. Let's say let us consider a equal to 10, b equal to some 50, something like that. So what will be the output of this one? So the output, so when I am calling these values, it will be directly going to this function. Okay, so values a equal to 10, b equal to 50, which means that we are substituting this a value as 10 and b as 50 in this function. So what is that function operation? Operation is print a comma b. So it will be directly printing and so a equal to 10. So I will be getting 10 and b is equal to 50. So this two will be printed once you call this function values. And in this time you can write this as b equal to 50, b equal to 50 and a equal to 10. So this also will give you same answer 10 and 50. So in this case order is not required. In this case order is not required because the initialization can be done by using these keywords. So if you are considering a as 10 and b as 50, then it will be printed as a as 10 and b as 50. So we are using that particular values or keywords a equal to 10 and b equal to 50 in this keyword argument, so that we will be getting the result as same. So even you can write a first, b second, or a second, b first. It is not a matter. The order is not important here, but the keywords are important. If you write a equal to something, then that will be taken as a, and if the b is equal to something, then that will be taken as b. So the keyword is important. So this type of arguments are called as keyword arguments, and the third one is called default arguments. Default argument. So in this case, default arguments we can consider let's say same example, value. And in this case, I am defining a comma b equal to 50. A comma b equal to 50. And I am using print a comma b. And I am calling that function values. And I can put a equal to 10. Only one variable I have to give. So in this case, some of the variable is already defined. So this some of the arguments will be considered with the default values. Okay, so I'm going to not going to write all those things here. You just take notes of that. So here we are having a default argument, right? Because b equal to 50, that value is by default it is there. So we don't have to give that particular value. So these kind of arguments are called default arguments. So some arguments, so in this case only one is there. So you can also use a equal to a comma b equal to 50, some c equal to 20, something like that. So you can use number of arguments like this. So some of the arguments in this function, in function definition itself, you can see. So some of the arguments will be considered with default values, or default will be considered as a default argument. Okay, so these are default arguments. B equal to 50 is a default argument because it is having a default value associated with it. So we don't have to give that particular value. So when you're recalling that function by using this values, and in this parenthesis we can give a equal to 10, then that will be directly giving me a is 10, but I am printing a and b here, right? A comma b. So I will be getting value of b also. So 50 will be printed. And this 50 is already there. It is by default. Okay. So this b in here is a default argument. So some of the arguments will be taken as a default and they will be assigned with some default values. So this type of arguments also can be used in program, and these are called as default arguments. And the last and fourth one is variable length argument. Variable length argument. So in this case, any number of argument you can give. So here we are not restricted with the number of arguments. So define, let's consider the same example, values. And here we have to use star a. So by using this star symbol, you can have any number of variables, some number of arguments in this function. So now you use colon and print. So since you are using different numbers of arguments, I can give some for loop here. So define values and for, I can give something like I in A. So I in A, print I. So what this will do? We are having function values. Function name is values, and that is in parentheses we are having star A. Star A means we are using a variable length argument. Variable length argument means we can give any number of variables. So if you want to print the values, sorry. So if you recall that function values of, then you can give any number of arguments. For example, 15, 20, 30, 40, like that. Any number you can give. And once you recall this, what it is going to print? Print I. What is I? I in A. What is A? A is values, arguments. Okay. So we can have number of arguments because we are using this star here. That's why it is called as variable length. Variable length argument, which means that we can have a number of arguments in this case. So if you are taking output of this particular instruction, then it will be printing 15, sorry, will not be that 20, we'll be having 15, 20, 20, then 30, 40. Okay. So all these values will be printed. That's why we are using I in A. So all those values will be printed. Okay. So this is called as variable length argument. So we can use any number of arguments by using this variable length argument. So this is, I am showing only 4. You can use number of arguments in this case. So these are the different arguments that we will use in functions. And now we will discuss an important point that is called as a recursive function. Recursive function. Recursive function. You can see that you can call a function in a function. No problem with that. You can call a function within a function, but you can also call same function in a function. Okay, so it is possible to call it is possible for the function to call itself. So function calling itself, and this type of functions are called recursive function. So in some cases we require this kind of functions. The function calls itself. So I will be just erasing this. So for example, so what is this meaning? If you are defining some function f of x comma y here, and inside this function itself you are recalling that, suppose some f of 2 comma 3. Okay, so inside this function you are recalling the same function. So such kind of function is called as recursive function. So one of the best example to explain this recursive function is the instruction for finding the factorial of a given number. Okay, if you want to get the factorial of a number means factorial of a number. If you want to find, for example, if you consider 5, what is 5 factorial? So 5 factorial will be calculated like 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, right? So this value, this is 120. This value is 120, right? Now how we can do some program? We can create or construct some program to find the factorial of a given number. So in that case, let us consider x as my number that the factorial has to be found. I had to find out what is the x factorial value. Okay, so x is, I am putting x as integer input. I am just going through that instructions proper way. So enter the number, for example, something like that. So x is now my number, and now define my function as factorial of x. Now if x equivalent to 1, return 1. Else, I will explain these steps. Else is return x star factorial of x minus 1, and the final result will be factorial of x print, print the result, right? Print result. So what we are doing here, finding out factorial of a given number. So here I am just giving input, that is the number uh, that we have to find out the factorial. So here that value, whatever we are given, we are going to give here will be assigned to x, and the factorial x factorial I have to find out. And then I have defined my function factorial x. So my name of this function is factorial, and it is having argument x. And then that once you define that function, it is going to this statements. So these are the operations associated with that particular function. And first I will be checking if x is equivalent to 1. Suppose I have given x equal to 5. Now it will be checking if x is equivalent to 1. No, because I have given 5. So it will not go to this block. It will directly go to else statement. So else it has to do this particular step or instruction. So here I am having x. So it will be calculating. It will be returning value. So return is used to return value to that function. Here function is factorial of x. So this value will be returned to this function factorial x. Okay. So what is this? 5 into, now it is 5 into factorial of 5 minus 1, that is 4. So this value will be returned into factorial x. So it will be, again it will reach here. So but when it is coming here, as you can see, there is again a factorial of 4. That is the calling of function by itself. Okay, so here I am using this function factorial of x, and inside that function I am calculating again factorial of this 4. So calling the function by itself. So what is factorial of 4? Factorial of 4. In order to do this factorial of 4, I have to again consider the same function, same steps, same operations. So in this time my x will be 4. Okay, again it will check if x is equivalent to 1. No, x is 4. Now it will go to else statement again, and else what I have to do, now I am calculating what is factorial of 4. Factorial of 4, if I am doing the same step, then I will be getting 4 into factorial of 3, right? So total will be like 5 into 4 into factorial of 3 now. That is my total output. Now still it is not finished. Still I am having factorial of 3. So what is factorial of 3? If I am writing factorial of 3, which means that I am calling this function factorial, right? So what is factorial? Factorial is defined by these steps. So again that will go through that instructions, and that will give me 3 into factorial of 2. So effectively what we are having here, 5 into 4 into, here we are having 3 into factorial of 2 now. Okay, again it is calling again this factorial function. So again it is calling factorial function. Again it will go to this step. Okay, again it will go through these instructions. If x is equivalent to 1, no, x is 2 now. So again, it will go to else statement, return x star factorial of x minus 1. Again, my output will be changing as 5 into 4 into 3 into 2. 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into factorial of, this time it will be factorial of 1. Now it will again go to this check because I am calling this function again. So again, it will be going to this factorial, and a factorial of 1 will be calculated, factorial of 1. Then it will go to if statement. If statement, it will check x is equivalent to 1. Yes, now it is 1. So it will go to this step, this block, if block, then return 1. So this 1 will be returned to factorial of x value. Okay. Now what will be the, this return, finally, here we are having return value x star factorial x minus 1. So once this is done, return 1 is done, then it will be going to this factorial of x. And after that, we are printing result. We are calculating result factorial of x here. Okay, and we are getting the result. We are printing that particular value as the factorial of this number that you are given. Okay. Okay. So that is how we can find out the factorial of number. So this I have explained to show you how we can call a function by itself, a function by itself. So here we are defining this function factorial here, and inside that function we are using the same function, right? So here I am calling that function. Whatever I am defined here, I am calling that function here. So in the same program or in the same instruction, inside that function itself, I am calling the same function. So the definition is here. I am calling that function inside that function operation itself. So calling function by itself. Okay, this kind of function is called as recursive function, and that we can use in this kind of situation. If you want to find the factorial of a number, we can use this kind of function. We have another function in Python which is known as anonymous function. Anonymous function. It is also known as lambda function or lambda function. This is also a function that we use in Python, another function. So there are some important difference with the if you are considering the other functions. There are some differences compared to the lambda function. Okay, so that we will list here. What are the difference of this lambda function compared to the other functions? This function do not start or this function does not defined is not defined by using the keyword diff. This function not defined by using keyword diff. And the second one is this function returns expression. This function returns expression instead of values. And third one, these functions are line functions, or we can say these functions are single line. This function this function single the single line, because we can define this entire function in a single line. Okay? So this function is a single line function. Then the last one, not last one, fourth one. This function cannot. This function cannot access global variables. Global global variables, and this function is defined by using lambda keyword. And function does not have any name. These functions, you can remove this from each of these lines. That is not required, right? These functions do not or does not have name. Function name. This is anonymous function. Okay, this function does not have any name. So these are the important properties or important features of this function. This function do not define by this keyword diff. So usually we use this diff keyword to define any function, but that is not the case with the lambda function or anonymous function. Also, instead of returning the values, it will return the expression. Similarly, this function is a single line function. So in a single line, we can finish this all the operations in this function. And it cannot access the global variable. As you know, global variable will be the variable for that can assign a particular value in throughout the program. Okay, so if you are defining any variable inside a function, then that can be assigned by that particular function only. Okay, that is local variable. We have local variable and as well as global variable. So you can look on those things. I'm going to explain this here. So if it is global variable, then that can be uh, assessed by the any instruction in the program. So, but in the local variable, but that local variables can be accessed only within that particular function, okay, which is nothing but the scope of the variables. Scope of local variable, if you consider, is within the function. Otherwise, if it is global variable, scope of global variable is in the entire program. Okay, so you just look on those global and local variables. So these functions do not have access to these global variables. And then we are having this lambda keyword. So these functions, instead of def, we are using lambda. We are defining the function by using this lambda keyword. And the last one, these functions does not having any name. They will not be having any name for this function. So they are anonymous functions. As an example, I can say, let's say sum of, or I can give sum equal to lambda So lambda I am using as a keyword here to define that anonymous function. So lambda x comma y, and what is the expression of this one? X plus y, for example. So I am giving some variable equal to lambda x comma y. So lambda x comma y, what is this operation of this particular anonymous function? X plus y. So here we are writing x plus y. This is our operation of that particular function, and this is the keyword used to define that function with arguments x comma y. Okay. So if you print like sum equal to something like that, sum equal, now it is string comma, in this case you have to print sum of let's say some value 2 comma 3 or something. So then that will calculate as 2 plus 3, and that value will be printed. Okay, so this is how we will define the lambda function we use. So you can see that this entire function as completed, all the operations are completed in a single step here. So in this step itself, this entire operation is completed. This is column. Okay, so that's why it is called as a single line function. It is a single line function. Okay, so this also we use in Python, and these are the important features of this particular lambda function. And you can see that all the variables are given operations, everything is in a single line. So we can also reduce the number of lines by using this lambda function, number of instructions by using lambda function. Now we will go to the programming part. So I will be opening that DLE, and I will show some of the examples that we have discussed here by using that. We'll just open this other window ideally. So stop this person. Okay, so I hope you can see the window now. And first we will be considering uh, the first part, that is the definition of function. Further, we have defined, initially we have defined one function. If let's consider function itself. In that case, we have considered like that. Function of x comma y. We have to use column, and then we have to do the operation, right? Function operation, that is, let's say some sum equal to x plus y. After this, we have to return that value into that function. So return sum. Now I have defined my function, and I can give any value for this x and y, and I will be getting the output corresponding. So if I call this as a function, you see that function of let's say 2 comma 3, I will be getting result as 5. So because my function is uh, defined as function of x comma y, so we are having two arguments here, x and y, and then we are having this operation sum equal to x plus y, and whatever sum, that value, that will be again return to this function. So when I am giving function of 2 comma 3, this x and y are taken as 2 comma 3, and then this operation is performed, x plus 5 is performed, and the value of sum will be returned to function. So I will be getting that 5, value 5. Okay, that is my function 2 comma 3. Now you can also okay, I will check that arguments, different arguments type. So for that we have given something like different values and values. Let's say values. In values we have given AB, right? AB colon. Now values is the name of function. Okay, and now I will be giving the operation of the function as print of a comma b. That is what the function do. And so in this case, I just want to get what is that print. Okay, I just want to know what are the different kind of arguments in function in the function. So I'm not returning that values here. So I just want to have in this case I have just given a comma b, right? So I will be giving values of I am calling that particular function that is defined just now. So that is values, and values of 2, for example 2 comma 3 if I put, and what that function will do, function should print that values, right? So if I press enter, I think oh sorry, I missed that s. So values of 2 comma 3, you can see. Okay, now that 2 and 3 which are printed. So that is by using this values 2 comma 3, I'm just recalling. So I'm calling this function. Okay, calling this function, and 2 and 3 are assigned to this variable, this arguments, and so that will be printed 2 comma 3. Now if you call that function as values 3 comma 2, actually my y value is 3 and x value is 2. So if I am calling that as 3 comma 2, then I will be getting 3 comma 2, 3 and 2. So in this time my x is 3 and y is 2. So this is the first type of argument that we have discussed, that is required argument. In this case, the order is also important. Okay, so if you are considering the function definition, we are having 2 arguments here, and in the call also we are having 2 arguments, right? So the argument number in both call as well as function definition, that should be same, as well as the order also should be same, otherwise it will change, the values will be changed. But when you are considering the next case, that is keyword arguments, so in that case also you are using the same function, values a comma b. So in this case, okay, I don't have to do this again and again. Anyways, I will do this. So print a comma b, same function. So I don't have to repeatedly write the steps necessarily. Anyway, so now if I check values of, for example, if I put a equal to let's say 2 and b equal to 3, and if I put if I take the output, then I will get 2 comma 3. Sorry, 2 and 3. Okay, so directly it will give me 2 and 3, and in this case if you change that order, like values of b equal to 3, b is still 3, and a equal to 2, okay, like this, then also you'll get 2 and 3, because in this time keyword, if you are using keyword arguments, in that time the order is not important, because the values will be assigned to that particular keyword. Okay, so the keywords are important. So b and a, whatever values that we are giving corresponding to that a and b, that will be printed, and that will be printed in this order, a comma b. Okay, so here ordering is not important, or position is not important. And the third one that we discussed was the default argument. So in the case of default argument, we can now I am giving directly. Okay. So values of, for example, if I give a equal to 10, I think, in this case I have to define that. Right? So define values. So in here itself I have to define one of my argument as default value. So b equal to some, let's say 3 colon. Then I am going for print a comma b. If in this case my argument b is having a default value 3, right? So I can just give values a equal to, only this I have to give, because b it will take automatically because it is by default. So in that case we'll be getting 2 and 3, but we are not going to give any value for b. So that is the default argument. And the last one we discussed was the variable length argument. So in that case, we have to define the function like values argument that we have to give with the star a and colon. Now you can print a, or you can use that looping first because we are using number of values. So for I in a, and in that case we have to print I. Now, if I put values of, now I can give any number of arguments. So, for example, I can give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, any value you can give, just randomly, and this much of arguments. Okay, so each one of these will be taken by these values. Uh, this particular argument, because we are using star in this inside this parenthesis, which means that it is a variable length argument, which means that it can assign any number of values, any number of arguments. So in that case, for all those values in A, okay, that will be printed. So if I write this, then it will be enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, 58, and 34. All those will be printed. So this is just an example for the operation of a function. You can, for example, uh, you can have different kind of function. This is just a printing function. Okay, so don't confuse with this. For example, if I put something, define some multiplication. So I am using some multiplication as my function. Multiplication. This is an example. So I want to have a program or function that will multiply two numbers. Okay. So x comma y. If I am using only two numbers, I can define it like this. And you can do some multiplication mul equal to some x star y. Okay. And I have to return that value to the function, return multiplication. That will be returned to that function. Now you can give multiplication. I hope the spelling is correct. So let's say 2 comma 3. I will be getting the multiplication of those. So in this way, we can define any kind of operation. So these are the simple functions. It contains only one instruction inside that. But if you are doing the program, very lengthy program, uh, then you have to consider number of lines within that function. As we discussed for the factorial case, we have number of lines within that function. Okay, so if you consider that particular case, then if you are writing all those lines repeatedly in the program, that will be very difficult. It will take more lines, which means that it will take more memory. It is also going to be difficult if some errors happen in the program. Then finding that error, that will be very difficult. Okay, so all those kind of things that can be uh, ignored if you are using function. So once you define that function, you can just recall that. Okay. So you can also have different kind of operation. This is the simplest one. These are simpler, simple examples of these functions. You can have a number of, for example, you can have, for example, if you want to find the largest value in a list, you can have some program, some function associated with, or any kind of operation. So once you have done some kind of structure or some kind of instructions in the program, and if you define that as a function, then you can just recall that. You don't have to repeatedly write all those steps again. Okay. So we will consider the recursion, yeah, recursive function. So in the recursive function, I have given an example to find the factorial of 5. So I will be putting x is equal to integer of input enter the number. It will ask me what is the number. Okay, so I will be putting y 5. So x is now 5, and now I will be defining the function. Defining factorial. The function is factorial of x, right? Factorial of x. And in this factorial of x, if x is equivalent to 1, in that case, I have to return value of 1 to the function. Else I have to go for return x star factorial of x minus 1. Right? So that value will be returned to the function if it is not equal to 1. So if I take the, okay, now I have to give the instruction. Okay, result I have to give, right? Result will be equal to factorial of x will be my result. Then I have to print result. So I'll be getting 120. Yeah, so this is how we use a function within a function, or the function calls by itself. So you can see we are defining the function here using these steps, and inside that function itself we are recalling the same function factorial. So this is my function, right, that we have defined here. So inside that function itself we are calling that function, so calling the function by itself, and this kind of function is called as recursive function. So each time this multiplication will happen, and finally we'll get the result as factorial of x, which will be the multiplication of all those numbers. So first one will be 5, then it will be into 4, into 3, into 2, into 1, like that. So it will be, the final result will be the factorial of the given number. So in this kind of scenario, we can use this recursive function. And the last one that we have discussed was the anonymous function. And in that case, we have given example sum equal to lambda x comma y, and we have the expression or operation which is plus y, that is expression. So then I have to print sum using some string sum equal to, okay, so that is just a string, so that will be coming as when I'm printing, that also will come. So sum equal to comma, that will be sum itself, right? So and that is function. So I have to give some value here. So if I put it like this, you will be getting corresponding sum equal to 5. So this is if you are printing like this. Otherwise, you can write. Let me see that sum comma 2 comma 5, sum of 2 comma 5. Then you can get that also. So here I'm using print statement. So it is giving me the sum equal to. So because I am using that string here, you can directly give sum of 2 comma 5. Then it will be taken as into this lambda function, and that will give you the value 7. Okay. So this is the lambda function or anonymous function. As we discussed, it can be expressed. The entire function will be in a single line. And these are the variables, and this is the operation or the expression of that particular function. So if you check the syntax, then it will be like lambda. First you have this lambda, then arguments, then expression. First you have the syntax of lambda function will be lambda x comma y, then colon. This x comma y is argument. So lambda argument, then colon expression. That is how the syntax of this lambda function. Okay, so that's all what we have discussed in this section. I hope you understood this. I think yeah, that will be enough for these missions. So remember that we can have any function. Once you define that function, then we can recall that. That is very important. And also, I have missed one point here for this recursive function. These two are different case. Okay, so which means that this particular one, which is called as base case, okay, and this one is called as recursive case. So these two cases are there that I didn't discuss in theory part. And this base case is to terminate this recursion to uh, to get off that recursion process, or to stop that recursion process. This particular expression we are using, and that is called as base case. This one, and this expression we are using for recursion. Okay, to call that function again and again. Okay? And this particular block, which is called as recursive case. Okay? And this is responsible for recursion. So this is block case. Sorry, this is base case, and this is recursive case. Yeah, this is to block or terminate the process, this recursion, and this is to call the function by itself, to request for recursion. Okay, so these are the two cases that I didn't discuss in the theory part. All other things are covered, I think. So this is some basic introduction to the Python. So if you want to know more about this part, and you can check on other sources also. If you want to know, you can also define any functions. I have just given here one simple example. Okay, so in this way you can, for example, in this case we are using this much of instruction to find a factorial of number. Okay, in the next time, if you are going to find out, if you want to find out any factorial or factorial of a number in the program, then you can use this particular expression. And once you define this particular function, then you can just recall that. Okay, you don't have to define that again and again. You can recall that particular. Let me check whether it is possible here. Factorial. Let me see factorial of let's say some 8. You check that whether it is coming. I will check. I will use some factorial of 3. Okay, now it is coming. So 3 into 2. That is the factorial of 3, right? So 3 into 2 into what? So you will be getting 6. So this is much more easier, because once you define this function for that factorial, where was that? Yes, this one. Once you define this function factorial, then you can use it that particular function. So here I don't have to write all those expression again. I just have to call that function and give number. It will give me result. So this will reduce the number of lines in your program, as well as it is if some corrections are there. Suppose in this expression, in these lines, some corrections are done. It is easy to correct it, right? Because you can easily see where the correction, this error is, and you can correct it. And once that is, the debugging will be easier. Once you correct this place, then it will automatically, it will give you the true value once you recall that function in all other lines. Okay. Otherwise, if you are using this kind of lines and again you are using same lines, then the number of corrections that you required, or number of errors in the program will be larger. Okay? And the debugging will be difficult. You have to find out the place where the correction is, and so that will be much more difficult. So if you are having this function, that will make the programming part much more easy. Okay. So I hope you understood this concept function, and we will look into some other section, probably modules, in the next class.